Hi, Daniel.
Hello,
Hello.
hi,
Good
Jason.
morning.
Nice to see
Hi,
you.
Daniel.
Morning.
Hi, good morning. Hello,
Great to.
fellow educators who are watching this show. Good morning to you. Welcome to the Profitable Impactful Educator series, the PIE series. Okay, first, very honored to have Daniel from Bestminds to come onto our show today to share something that's very powerful. And what is it? We are going to review later. Okay, so to our fellow educators who are watching this show, okay, let me just introduce what is PIE to you in case you're first time watching. Now, we are an academy for growth-oriented tutors who are dedicated to their teaching, ethical, helpful, and respectful to one another. We equip tutors with mindsets, skill sets, and network to help them increase profitability and deliver impactful, transformative teaching. Our tutors abide to a strict code of professional conduct to ensure the highest quality of tutoring is practiced. We make tutoring a prestigious calling and profession. Now, so that is PIE in a nutshell. Now, today I'm going to interview Daniel, who is with us today. Okay, Daniel is a very special person because he's the only person that I know, right, who has chatted with late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew before, and our PM Lee actually once asked him to join politics. Okay, now I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone else who was asked personally, who was asked to join politics. So I'm really curious to find out from Daniel, how did he come into this, get to this place where he had the chance to meet Mr. Lee Kuan Yew and PM Lee, and also Mr. Heng, right? Personally, yeah, and then you have to share with us later. Okay, so to our fellow educators, if you're watching this, please remember to say hi, drop a comment, and if you have any questions, okay, for Daniel, do drop a message in the message box. Now, this program is only possible with dedicated support of our fellow community builder, Jeffrey Teo. Jeffrey, please say hi. Okay, hi Jeffrey. Thank you, Jeffrey, for supporting. Now, today he's in a very special place. Okay, if you are curious about what place he's in, okay, you can just drop a message in the comment section. Okay, so Daniel, are you ready to share with us your life story as well as your experience and tips? Okay, so you will be sharing with us how tutors can benefit from meta learning. All right, I saw your 3 tips. They are pretty cheap to me, honestly. And meta learning is very cheap. It's like I know meta text lah, a website HTML. What is meta learning? Okay, so this is something that I really want to learn from you. Okay, so I just briefly introduce the audience to introduce you to the audience. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Yeah. Yes. So I just want to say that you have a fantastic website that actually just tell the full story of your life as well as what you do. So if you are interested, please check out bestminds.com, right? Is it bestminds.com? .sg.
Bestminds.sg, yes.
Or bestminds.sg. Okay.
Yeah.
So the link is bestminds.sg, right? So let me introduce Daniel in proper. Okay, learning is a science. Technically, learning starts when the first neural impulse is fired and ends after the last impulse is fired. As a trained biologist with over 20 years of tutoring experience, Daniel Tay is also an ex-MOE teacher and the founder of Bestminds, a learning company specializing in one-to-one coaching for executives to want to become better learners and tutors. Daniel is also a master of mind mapping and was personally trained by Professor Tony Buzan in mind mapping. His mind maps are recognized internationally by learning experts, including curriculum experts from France's Ministry of Education. His mind maps are also used in classrooms in countries like the US, UK, and Canada. He also trains and coaches mind map instructors. Bestminds has helped many people learn smarter and score better in exams. He has also helped tutors to upskill their pedagogical methods through meta learning to increase their profitability and impact. Okay, Daniel, you look very young to me. You don't have to reveal to me your age, but you look really young, and your credential is just stellar. You have 20 years of tutoring experience. Like, did you start tutoring when you were 5 years old?
No. Secondary school. Secondary school. Yeah.
Secondary school, you already started tutoring.
Yes, correct.
Oh, then you tutor your peers, or do you tutor someone
Yes,
younger?
peers, my peers. Yeah, that is when I realized that I have a calling for this teaching, more of teaching and guiding people. Yeah, I realized I wanted to be a teacher since I was 15 years old, and I think it's my blood. I discovered it, so I think I'm going to be a teacher for my whole life. Teacher first and businessman second.
Right. Yeah, which brings to that you founded Bestminds. It's a learning company, right? Specializing in one-to-one coaching for executives. So your teaching is very broad spectrum. You teach kids, students struggling with studies, as well as executives.
Yes, I teach a
And
whole range,
tutors.
any range. I can teach any range because I'm certified to teach it, but having the experience, I haven't teach in madrasas before, if you believe. I've been asked to go and teach a madrasa, which is a very different demographic. So I have the privilege of being able to teach in quite a diverse demographic. And I would say there are challenges in different demographics. So the teacher needs to be very skillful to change his style accordingly, based on demographic, based on context. So that's a skill. Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to just interject here. So our fellow educators, if you're watching this, right, if you want to learn how to teach to a very diverse group of audience, all right, if you have any challenges, it seems to me like you can ask Daniel some questions. So do drop down some questions in the comment section, and we'll get down to that. All right. So we try to be interactive. So if you can ask early, you probably don't have to wait until the last section, the Q&A, right? So feel free to ask and feel free to share. Today is about meta learning. So it's about enhancing your ability, right? Daniel, am I right to say that?
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
so do share that with your friends if you feel that they can benefit from this. Okay. And in your introduction, right, I also saw this very big name. Okay, who is Professor Tony Buzan and mind mapping. Okay, so you flew to meet him, and you learned from him.
He flew to Singapore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I quickly grabbed it. I was undergrad back then, and I remember his course was very expensive. So I emptied out 1 year of my savings just to attend his course. Yeah, and then I was the youngest in his whole course back then. So that was a rare chance whereby Professor Tony Buzan came to Singapore, and it was a 3-day course. And I think I'm really mesmerized by this guy. His passion really exudes him, he really believes in what he does. And I think all educators need to have that kind of passion. That goes beyond just, he's not a very good businessman, but he's a very good educator, very, very passionate. And the things that strikes me most is his passion for what he does. I think until today, just getting a bit of that, right, is enough to keep on inspiring me. Yeah, and yes, I think inspired thousands and thousands of other educators and people to go into mind mapping and train them, because mind mapping is scientifically proven to work.
Yeah, and you are a master of mind mapping, so you took the course and then you got certified under Professor Tony Buzan.
Yes, correct.
Wow. Okay, I see. I read your website, so I also understand that I saw this very cute photo when you were young, I think secondary school, right? You were holding this mind map, and then there was a picture taken. So I think the story is that you actually won. Your teacher was super impressed with your mind map.
Yes.
And that was during secondary school.
Yes.
So
she borrowed everything and is still with the school right now. The whole stack of mind map for one mind map for each chapter. She borrowed everything and is still with the school now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which never returned.
May I know if you continue to tell?
I don't want to say later. I mean, I don't want to say the school, but okay, you can easily search where I'm from, because you go to the website, see my uniform. Okay, it was that school. It's Riverside Secondary, but they changed their uniform already. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I think they have kept in their archive or kept in their library or kept it for reference forever. So I do not have the originals anymore because those are hand-drawn. Those are all hand-drawn, hundreds of them. So yeah, that gave me a good foundation. Now I do a lot of digital, doing online, using software.
Okay, I see. So your mind mapping actually can be low tech or high tech.
Yeah, yes, correct. That's why it's very useful. You can 6 years old, you can start to teach mind mapping already, all the way to 60 years old. 6 to 60. Even after 60 years old, you can do, because it's something that is based on, as long as you follow certain principles, the mind map will be helpful for cognitive processing and schema building.
Okay, I see. Okay, so okay, I want to ask you about the origin story. How do you get started with this? Okay, but before that, any fellow educators, if you're out there watching this, do remember to click on the likes, and if you want to subscribe to us, also feel free to do that. And also, if you have any takeaway after this show, remember to drop a comment or just say hi. That would be really nice. Okay. Oh, in fact, we have some comments coming in. Okay, we have Jay here watching. We have Rajiv. Hello, Rajiv. Rajiv, comment about your cool red mic. Is there some story behind that? Cool red mic.
Oh, cool red mic. This one. Oh, yeah. Yes. This is a cool red mic which happens to every time when I go for Zoom lessons. This will be the first thing that catch your attention.
Okay.
So I would say it's a good icebreaker, when especially first I start to talk about, how nice is this, where I get it from, why it's a nice color, and then some tutors even went to go and purchase it after I purchased it, and then the model that they purchased is even better than mine.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that one can change color. This is Hypercast X, HyperX. So it cost me $300, but because it is important for my students to hear me or my clients to hear me clearly, so I see this as an investment.
Right.
I would not. I mean, I do not want a mic that cannot capture good sound. So I hope you all can hear me clearly. Also, the important is to hear me clearly. Yeah.
Very clear. Yeah. Oh, there's also Angeline also say hi.
Oh yes, she's my friend. Hi, Angeline.
Hello.
Thanks for attending.
Yeah. Okay. So Angeline, Rajiv, JV also watching. In fact, I think Javier. Yeah, JV is also watching. Okay. Hi. So if you have any comments or any friends you want to share to, please feel free to do that. Okay. Next, I want to just go into the origin story. What got you started in doing what you do? Like sharing about mind mapping technology to educators and students.
What got me started? I would say it was a book. It was a book that transformed me. That book is called Super Brain, written by Dilip Mojekar. That book I read when I was 14 years old, and then it really fascinates me. And back then, teachers were in the 1990s, late 90s, teachers were still using old methods to teach. In fact, now they have changed quite a lot. And for me, I'm the type that like to ask a lot of questions. Keep asking until the teacher find me very annoying. And I think all the way until university, professors also find me very annoying because I ask so many questions. Yeah. But that is just me. I think asking questions is the best way to learn. So when I become a teacher, I never school students for asking questions. Yeah. So in fact, I encourage them, ask as many questions as you want, as long as the question is relevant. So so the book Super Brain got me to realize how powerful that we can, what is the powers of the brain, what we can do, how I can learn ourselves on our own. And that got me into the introduction to mind mapping, and I started to draw my first few mind maps, and then I realized it helped me a lot in my academics. People take hours and hours to revise. For me, I just put everything on a piece of paper, and then my revision is just 1 minute because everything is summarized on one paper. So that really put me at an advantage, and it helped me score quite well in secondary school. That I managed to go to national JC, which was quite a good JC back then.
Yeah.
But life was not. It is, yeah. But life is not smooth for me because I didn't complete JC. I dropped out from JC. Yeah, after 1.5 years. So after that, I went to work. I've done certain menial jobs. I sold beer before. I sold beer. I was a waiter. I was a promoter in Isitan. Promote some air purifiers and stuff. So was about half a year. I doing these odd jobs, which I feel is quite tough lah. Very tough job. So even until today, I have quite a lot of respect for people doing these jobs because it is not easy to make a living at that level. They are facing quite a lot of stresses that we don't see until we step into their shoes. So after that, I enrolled to National Service, finished my 2 years of service to the nation, and I went to Polytechnic. Yeah, so I went Ngee Ann Polytechnic. I took biotechnology. Yeah, so I happened to do quite well. I got a silver medal and went to NTU to take bioscience. So bioscience, 3 years, I got my degree. And after that, I went to NIE to teach as an untrained teacher. 1.5 years later, they find me suitable to become a professional. So they sent me to NIE. So I took 1 year of postgraduate diploma education. And after that 1 year, I went back to school to teach again. So after 2.5 years, I left, I resigned and started my own business, my Bestminds, to teach students. And a few months ago, I expanded the service to teach more than just students. I also teach adults, especially executives who wants to learn better, learn smarter, because learning should not be focused on just the school-going part. It is lifelong. Learning is lifelong. So meta learning, right? If they didn't pick up in school, they can still pick up when they're adults. It's never too late to start learning something new. So my service also open to adults.
Okay. So can you this word meta learning? Will you be elaborating later? What is meta learning?
Yeah. What is meta learning? Is basically the word meta. Meta is about learning. So either go deeper, this is on learning, right? You either go deeper into it or you zoom out and look at it from a perspective from outside. So there's this concept called spherical analysis. Spherical analysis. So you analyze learning from a spherical perspective, every direction, not just up, down, left, right, front, back. It's every direction. And it's not easy because learning is quite unique to quite a lot of individuals. Different people learn differently, but there's a common denominator in terms of learning. There are some methods, some tricks about learning that it will work for almost everyone. Why? Because the brain is designed similarly in all of us. Which part of our brain forms first, which part of our brain forms next. In terms of developmental biology, when we are in our mother's womb, the process of which part of the brain form first is all encoded in the genes. So if we follow the science of how the brain works, it is very hard not to learn anything. It's very hard not to learn. So my students, I tell them, you follow my methods exactly, right? You should improve. And so far, they have improved. The only reason when they don't improve is that they have unforeseen events on that exam day itself, and they cannot deliver. Other than those situations, it's 100% it works because it's scientific.
So scientific brings to me ideas like predictable, systematic, methodological, and so something like repeatable.
Yes,
then you follow the steps and you will get it. It's not about luck. It's not about whether you are more talented than other people or something like that.
Yeah, correct. It's some people put a lot of motivation. Motivation is important, but there's something more important than motivation. It's called environment. Environment. So if you are very motivated, the person is immersed in a toxic environment, very fast the motivation will dry up. So the only reliable, long-term sustainable way to ensure that the child can, or the student or the learner is able to really become very good and bloom is to ensure the environment around him or her is conducive for learning. Parents actually do play a great role in that. Whether the environment is conducive. In schools, they don't have to worry. Schools are conducive. They have designed in such a way that it's meant for learning. But at home is the one where the parents need to play a role to make sure that is this a conducive environment for my child to learn, not just academics, a lot of skills, social skills, learn how to treat people, all this.
So how to make an environment conducive for learning all kinds of things. So this one will you be sharing with us?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Correct.
So
yeah.
So to our audience out there, if you are interested to know this thing, okay, if your friends want to know about this thing, do share this link. We are going to share about this. How do you create a conducive environment for learning? Daniel will be sharing about this thing. Daniel, before you go into the tips, okay, I think we haven't talked about how do you meet the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew and PM as well as Mr. Heng.
Okay. I met them when I was a student leader in university. Yeah. So student leaders typically they have a bit more access to the VIPs because student leaders. Yeah. So in 2011, I'm inside the ESCO of this event called Dialogue with Lee Kuan Yew. Yeah. So that was when 2011 LKY was 88 already. Yeah, he was quite old already, but he can still walk back then. So I was at the EXCO and I took the opportunity to ask him live when he came to NTU. Yeah, to give a sharing and also basically interact with the students. And that was his last public appearance already before he passed away, 2011. And after that, he only gave small group interviews and yeah, I think his health is deteriorating back then, but his mind was very sharp back in 2011. And I think he's just such a remarkable man that you see when he stepped into the auditorium, not just the room, the auditorium, everybody can feel his presence. Everybody. It's a different feeling with LKY in the auditorium and when he is when he's outside. You can feel the room is different. So I think he's a remarkable man that comes once in a millennium, one is a century, that type. And what I'm really impressed is the conviction of what he shared. I asked him a question about China's rise and how the mother tongue is important. So he really shared that with the same conviction as he did when he introduced the bilingual policy 40 years, 50 years ago, which I think it still makes sense today. Yeah, and for PM, same thing. I was a student leader. He came to NTU and I asked him a question and I think just out of jest, he just asked me if I would enter politics. And it is on public record, by the way. You can go and search in Razor TV. So back then it was in 2009. Back then I was only like 24. Yeah. So I think I was too naive, too numb to think so deep, too far. But I didn't reject nor didn't accept. I just say I need more time to think about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thinking how things go in the country, I do not want to think about it first. Let's see how things go.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so I will be asking you about the 3 advices that you can give to tutors and educators on how we can actually increase our profitability and impact through meta learning, right? So before that, if we have any audience who wants to have any questions at this point, okay, we haven't really come to the meat yet. If you have any question already, please do feel free to drop a message and feel free to like us and to share this video as well. All right, so Daniel, can you give us the first advice?
Okay, the first advice for meta learning, especially for tutors, right, is to understand is what happens in the workplace most of the time. Workplace, you see them say safety first. But in teaching of students, safety also comes first. Safety first. But when it comes to safety, it's not just physical safety. Physical safety is assumed. the parent, the teacher, whoever who send their children or to you, you have to ensure that physically they're safe. But the safety part is the emotional and mental aspect, whether they feel safe emotionally, mentally. So this is very important because our brain, before we even process anything, okay, the brain will actually detect and sense if the environment is safe before they start to think deeper. Okay, so I have a slide to share. Are you able to share the slide for me? Our brain go through a process called neuroactive filtering. Okay, you have a slide to share? If not, I have this image here. Don't know where you can see. Yeah, can you see this one? So maybe I put it here. Yeah, I explain it here. So this is the brain. Okay, schematic representation. Our brain don't really look like that. Okay, now what happens is all our brain stimulus come from, most of it come from our senses and hearing. Okay, so when a child comes or when a student comes, they would have stimuli that is received by our senses, our eyes and ears. So where does this stimuli go? Okay, this stimuli will go as neural impulse, electrical and chemical signals to this part of our brain, right, that will receive it and filter it. Is called the RAS. RAS stands for reticular activating system. So this is a filter that filters out if this is a danger or not a danger. If this is something that is safe or unsafe. So once they feel it's safe, okay, it will send signal to the amygdala. Amygdala is essentially the part of the brain that tells you, is it to trigger fear, flight, or fight? So fear, fight, or flight, if it's triggered, once it's triggered, they cannot learn anything. Once the green part, you see the green box there? So after the sensors take in the stimuli and the RAS does the filtering, it will send a signal to the amygdala, which is the green part. If it triggers something that is unsafe, okay, it will not send signal to the brain, the cognitive, not send signal to the frontal cortex, which does the cognitive processing. That is essentially what most of the thinking, the solving problems, most of it comes in. So it will just trigger fight or flight, and the students is unable to think next. What happens is the signal will be sent to hippocampus, which will encode it as a memory that this situation, this context is unsafe. So in future, when they are triggered in the same context, the fight or flight is faster. So it's a reflex action then, very, very fast. But if you are able to ensure that the stimuli that comes in will not trigger the amygdala to send the fight or flight signal to the frontal cortex, that frontal cortex will be ready to receive learning. Okay, so a lot of teachers, if they don't understand this system, this is called the neuroactive filtering. Actively, the brain is keep filtering whether there are dangers around, there are stresses around that will trigger the amygdala to kick in the fight or flight response. So we try to ensure that the student is in a very enjoyable environment. They feel emotionally safe before any serious learning can take place. So an example is this is what many old school teachers they do. Early in the morning, 7 a.m., first thing they do is they scold the class for 15 minutes. Scold until all the student amygdala got triggered. All of them fight, flight, or fear. So the next 1 hour teaching, the whole day of teaching, nothing can go into their brain because they are so affected by the morning scolding. So there's actually quite a bad technique to use to teach students because they are triggering all the amygdala that they cannot really process much. Not saying that it's totally zero. The percentage is very low. So we cannot see learning as an all or none thing, 1 or 0. It's not binary. It's always in a percentage. So when you trigger amygdala, the percentage will drop drastically. And that is why the important thing is when you receive students, it's important to spend the first 5 to 10 minutes soothing and calming down the amygdala. And that is why I call safety first. Make them feel safe. Emotionally, mentally, cognitively, make them feel safe. Once they feel safe, the learning at the frontal cortex will be much easier. They will soak up things much faster. So that is the neuroscience basis of neuroactive filtering. It's critical. And teachers who apply this, their students benefit.
How to tutor Okay, typically we have about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, right, every week with a student. So
Yes.
given this kind of time span, right, how would you advise tutors, right, to apply this technique of soothing the amygdala?
At the beginning, the most important thing is to ask them how they are, show that you care about their mental and physical well-being. You need to be a person that they look forward to go to. So being caring, being concerning about their welfare, well-being, that is number one. Because if they know that they're going to tuition, right, the first thing the tutor is going to scold them, I don't think they will learn anything. Yeah. So that's one thing we try to avoid. And one more thing, a lot of tutors, sometimes they miss out is the physiological aspect of the student. So like they're hungry, or they don't have enough sleep the day before, or they just didn't bring a water bottle and didn't drink enough water. So air food water, very easy to remember. Check in whether they have enough air food water. Food, usually glucose, sweets. The one you can easily supplement them with sweets. So tuition center, please prepare some sweets. Okay, in case they not enough glucose, you just say help yourself to the sweets. Water, everything must prepare for them because you need them for learning. Without the glucose supply to the brain, because it sucks up 20% of our glucose in the blood, without that, the cognitive prefrontal lobe cannot process well. So the sweets are actually a learning tool. Water also, and then oxygen, of course, you need to have air, not enough oxygen. Now, the oxygen part is the breathing technique. You have to make sure the students, some of them is they claim they know how to breathe, but breathing as a proper breathing techniques that will increase oxygen intake to the blood. So when that happens, more oxygen to the brain actually can think deeper and think faster.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so those are the neurological basis.
Okay, so when you talk about this thing, right, it makes me recall few things. Like in the past, right, study area is usually very strict. You can only allowed to bring in your one bottle of water. So if you want to bring snacks, or you want to bring sugar drinks, right, it's not allowed.
Yeah,
right?
because the reason is because the school leaders back then, the policymakers back then, they haven't been through neuroscience training, or they have no understanding of how the brain works. But they have loosened up the rule already. They have loosened up the rule since I think 5 years ago. They allow snacks in, they allow drinks in. MOE has loosened up quite a lot, and they have Take 5 now. I think parents or tutors who have children in school now, they would probably heard of all these terms. Take 5, they can have some snacks, food. Even when I was at MOE, they have loosened up the rules already. So it's a good thing because it helps the brain prepare for creation of, we call it neuroplasticity. When the brain learns, right, the brain is neuroplastic. It can change. So when you have all these essential ingredients, okay, it's easier for the brain to form memories.
Okay, I see. Then what about students, right, whom are tutors who teach online? How do they ensure that students have this air, food, water, and then how do they check in to make sure that the amygdala is not triggered when they are doing online teaching?
Okay, typically online teaching, especially of children, is 10 times harder than 10 times is a rhetorical number. 10 times harder than face-to-face, because you have to take the student's word for it. When you ask them something, if they say yes, you have to take it as yes. You can't really verify. And one of the biggest downsides of online is body language. You only can see like this frame. Right? This frame is very limited body language for you to analyze and sense what is the student's state of mind. Because an experienced tutor, a skillful tutor or teacher, or somebody that understands learning, science of learning very well, just by looking at the whole body's body language, they can actually give a quick diagnosis of is the state of mind suitable, prepared for learning. So online actually quite challenging because students, sometimes they would just tell you the answer you want to hear. And if the surrounding environment that the student is in, having the online lesson is not conducive, we just do our best to try to help the student absorb as much as possible, but it will never be as good as face-to-face.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bit
Sometimes I feel that we really don't know what's going on behind behind the
yeah,
screen. Sometimes I
correct.
keep
Correct.
hearing mouse clicking. When I ask, are you doing anything else? And students say, no, I'm just learning now. So it's very
It
hard
happened
to.
before, ma. This is a real story. Tutor was teaching for 2 hours, right? And then after that, the student was just all the way, yes, yes. Then the mother actually caught the student reading comic books below. It has a comic book just below, because you cannot tell whether the student is listening or not. So
Yeah.
there's a trick that I can teach you to check in on that. There's to ask them to repeat back what you have taught them just now, one sentence, two sentence. So with that question involved, right, it's very hard for them to do such things.
I see.
So you have to check in periodically every 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, I just give a pseudonym. Okay, Peter. Okay, can you repeat what I said just now? If they can't, meaning they are reading comic books out of the frame of view.
Okay.
But
Okay.
this one you need to talk with the parent also, because this one is also a bit of behavioral and attitude problem. So when it comes to this one, we have to work with the parent. And also, if every lesson is like that, the tutor also need to reflect if their teaching is too boring. So boring that they don't want to listen, they want to read comic instead.
Yes,
the tutor needs to reflect also,
I've heard stories where a teacher accidentally muted himself, and nobody, the whole class, no one tells the teacher 2 hours.
NUS
the teacher
professor.
talking.
I think it's NUS professor. Yes, it was in the news. Yeah, and nobody wanted to inform the professor, because I think the professor is super boring.
Yeah, I think gone are the age where if the student don't pay attention, we blame it on the student, right? We say you're lazy, you are not attentive, you have no desire to learn. I think nowadays it's a two-way process. That's why we are learning all the techniques from you.
Yes, tutors need to be
reflective. Have to do a lot of
reflection. Yes, daily reflection.
What daily reflection? Yes. Okay.
That's what I do every day, at least 10 minutes. Now the next tip I'm going to give is called the DDM. DDM stands for desirable dosing. Dosing, D is the first thing is dosing. Second D is called desirable difficulty. Okay, the third one is monitoring. Dosing, desirable difficulty, and monitoring.
Okay, these three. Okay, before we continue, I just want to remind all our audience out there, right? If you have any questions about the tips so far, Daniel has shared 2 tips already. The first tip is safety first. Second tip is DDM. Okay. So if you have any questions about this, please remember to drop a message to us. And if you have anything that you want to share, real case study, your personal experiences, also feel free to drop a message. Okay, so now let's go into DDM. Okay, Daniel, please take it away.
Yes, the first D is dosing. Dosing requires calibration of what and how. Because the first D and second D is closely linked. The second D is called the desirable difficulty. Now, this concept is not invented by me, but by a psychology professor, Professor York. Desirable difficulty is something different from every student. What is desirable difficulty for one student is different from another. Okay, essentially, it is just hard enough for the student to find it challenging, but not too hard that they will give up, and also not too easy that they'll find boring. That is a sweet spot. Now, this one is for professional tutors and teachers to decide where is it and what is it. Okay, now after you decide what is it, what type of question is the sweet spot, whereby they don't find it too difficult, they don't find it too easy, you need to know what timing to dose it. That means introduce it to them. And when you are able to do that, okay, the third M is called monitoring. Monitor how the student respond and react to these doses of desirable difficulty. So when you create that, you create actually a feedback loop. Okay, now this feedback loop is very powerful, because once you get the loop flowing, actively looping on its own, you can actually see that the child will just spiral upwards. Most of the time spiral downwards, this is spiral upwards. How to spiral upwards the learning? You use DDM to loop. But the difficult part is, what is the DD? What is the desirable difficulty? This is something before you need to do an audit of the students' learning capacity. Now, students' learning capacity is all different. Some students learn fast, some learn slow, some learn a lot, some learn little. So the bigger the class, the harder to find a common capacity whereby most of them can improve together. So that's why small groups are not exceeding 8 is the best. Groups should not exceed 8. So if you go beyond that group, it's really very hard to ensure effective learning for every single student. So
sorry, Daniel, this group size 8 thing, right? Is very interesting. Is this scientifically backed?
7 to 8, yes. They have done psychological studies, 7 to 8, but there's a caveat inside. Okay, it depends on the cooperativeness of the students, whether the students can get along. If the students are all matured and serious learners, 7 and 8 is the max for ideal learning. Now, if you just put in one disruptive student, everything is gone. All the science is thrown out already. One disruptive student is enough to destroy the learning dynamics of the whole group. So it's important for you to literally stop disruptive students because it affects the others. So even disruptive, 2%, one disruptive, the other person cannot learn also.
True.
That is why when it comes to student size, you must ensure that none of them are disruptive. Different learning abilities, never mind, as long as not disruptive. Because when you have different abilities, right, one of the things you can do is to get the stronger student to teach the weaker student, and you have social learning taking place. Social learning is very powerful because they learn more than one thing at a time. They learn academic and they learn communication skills.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's essential, communication skills. It's supposed to be something that every lesson you should teach them. But many students, many tutors, they just focus on the academic part, forget about the communication part. Even in science, right, especially in science exams, many students understand the concept, but they don't know how to communicate the answer in writing so that they get the marks. So it's communication. That is why the tutors have to think very carefully. Okay, now they catch the concept. How do I teach them to communicate the concept so that a third party can understand? And that is something that very profound. Every tutor need to take note.
Very profound, really very profound. Okay, so I understand, if you teach language, if you teach humanities, right, communication skill is a given. You have to be able to write well, right? But, science, yes, I think I understand what you mean when many students, they know the concept, but they cannot write, and they didn't fail to bring in the keywords, or they fail to communicate clearly. But here, I'm a math tutor. I teach secondary school students online. How do you teach communication skills in maths lessons?
Online or offline?
I teach online, yeah. So
online is very challenging, I would say. Very, very challenging. I've taught online before. When you have pure online teaching, you have to, I think this is my advice, more periodic times whereby you pause to check in on the student. As in the student literally take their work and put in front of the camera and show you this is what I've done. Because it will actually let you have an idea of how each student is progressing. Because without looking at what they have done or the work that they have done or recorded down, it's very hard for you to really have a good grasp of their progress. And checking in on learning is actually, this leads to the third point which I'm going to teach. Very important. I'm going to share with you. Is the checking in of learning. And that one is, I would say, one of the most important parts to ensure that your session as a tutor teach with the student is actually productive and fruitful. Okay, which I call it the REWAR, REWOR. REWAR is short form for,
REWOR.
Yep, recall without reference. That's short form.
Recall without reference.
Yes. So whatever notes they have taken during a lesson, whatever working that they have done, or you have given certain examples, they need to cover up everything and then do it again. And then you have to look at what they are able to reproduce without reference. That would be the ultimate test to see if the learning has taken place. Very powerful, underused most of the time. Okay, and you have to trust a student that they won't refer, because referred one is not a very accurate way of checking for learning. It's meant to check for learning, if learning have taken place. So in our brain, right, before we learn something, memorize something, it needs to go through 3 stages. The first stage is to encode. whereby the stimulus come in, our eyes and ears, what we see, what we hear, it encodes the information into something that makes sense. Okay, that is what our RAS do. RAS is this part. This part. Reticular activating system. That's what I do. Once it makes sense, right? Okay, it will go to the filter whether it's something safe or unsafe. If it's safe, it will send signal to the prefrontal cortex to do cognitive processing. Now, when it does cognitive processing, it will need to ensure that what they learn is consolidated. So consolidation comes in, once it's finished processing, it will go to the red part. That is where the hippocampus is. The hippocampus is the part that helps in memorization. That's in the brain. So after after encoding, it will send it for consolidation. And then only after consolidation, okay, you are able to recall from that. Recall. So ECR, E first, encode, then consolidate, then recall. Now, when we do reward, RE, recall without reference, we are actually testing if the R exists, if the R is there in the brain. Once you can detect the R is there, you know the E and C is there also. You know they have encoded, they have consolidated. So you actually test one thing to test three things. You test the R to confirm that the three is all there. And then these three things, with these three things, ECR, you can ensure that the memory, something will enter their memory. That is how our brain works. And that is one of the key pillars of meta learning.
Okay, I see. So when you have already, so you talk about ECR, right? So encode, that means you take in the information. Consolidate. Can you say a little bit about consolidate? What happened during that consolidation?
Consolidation essentially is for the brain, gives the brain some time. Essentially, it's a biological process whereby your brain has enough nutrients, enough drop in terms of its brain wave. Okay, our brain have waves, 5 types of brain waves, alpha, beta, theta, all this stuff. During consolidation process, the brain wave would actually change frequency. Okay, so essentially, if you have a prolonged heightened if your certain brain wave is prolonged and heightened, right, that will not cause consolidation. You need a disruption of the brain wave. During the disruption, there's a certain type of brain wave whereby consolidation is much better. So this consolidation takes place much better when your mind is more relaxed. So that is why taking short breaks, right? Taking short breaks will help in consolidation. This ECR is the basis of the Pomodoro technique. Many people call, you heard of Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes study, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes study, 5 minutes break, have this kind of segmented break study kind of iterations. Now, the basis of it is to ensure that the brain waves oscillate between certain wavelength and then change certain wavelength. So the change in the wavelength help in consolidation.
I see.
They actually studies, they put EEG, electroencephalogram, and then they did studies on it. Yeah, you need to change brainwave to consolidate the memory.
Is this something related to focused and diffuse mode of learning?
Yes, correct. Focus, diffuse, scattered, and focus. Correct.
So the 25 minutes is the focus, and the 5 minutes is the relax.
Yes. During the relaxed part, the consolidation takes place.
Oh.
So that's why the relaxed part is important. One shot, you sit and focus 2 hours, only the first 25 minutes is productive. After that, the productivity drops precipitously until you trigger a deliberate relaxation. So when I give my student relaxation, I make sure that they don't do anything cognitively heavy. So they either rest, take a quick snack break, they do breathing exercise, they close their eyes, reduce their stimulus, visual stimulus and auditory stimulus. And then after that, the next 25 minutes after the break, you can see that they can still absorb quite a lot. So that is how hacking brain science to make sure that the whole session is more productive for them. And over sessions, it actually adds up, And the parent will realize that, this tutor is very impactful. I send child to them, they learn a lot of things. And even though, right, it happens before, sometimes the child results don't improve. But then the student tell the parent, this is the best tutor I've ever met because of the methods that was used. And then they say that the result they improve is not the tutor's fault. I didn't perform on that day, but the methods that is taught is amazing because I learned so much. So even parents want to change tutor, they also won't change because the student had vouched that this is a very good tutor that goes beyond just making sure that they do well in the exams. But it's very hard for them to not do well if the tutor is so good. So far, 100% improvement for my own students. As long as they don't have unforeseen circumstances on the exam day itself. They would like they are sick on that day, the one you cannot blame the tutor. But they apply this technique always works. It's even hard for them not to improve.
Okay. So the reward is can we recap that again?
Okay, so the three the safety first. Second would be the DDM, dosing of desirable difficulty, and monitoring if the loop is created. And then the third is recall without reference. And this one you need to test every 10 minutes, just a verbal one. Now you can test recall in many ways, not just take a piece of paper, write it down, because some students just hate to write. If they hate to write, you ask verbally. Verbal recall is good enough already for you to have a sense. Okay, the child actually caught it. And now it's time to move on to the next concept or next topic. Because I think as tutors, educators, they know some things called a hinge point question. You have to clear that question, clear the concept before you can teach the next concept. Because this next concept is based on this concept. So if they cannot clear the hinge point question and they just carry on teaching, they are wasting their time. Everybody wasting their time.
Exactly.
So hinge point question is important. And the teacher must be very aware that everybody is able to catch certain basic concepts before they move on to the more advanced concepts. It's not to clear the syllabus and the complete teaching. Complete teaching doesn't mean that the student got learn anything.
Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes the pressure is cover more. Especially I think for because I teach both in polytechnic as an adjunct and also as a tutor. So one thing I noticed is that in tutoring, sometimes we're under the pressure to cover more and then we feel that I'm not sure whether this resonates with our audience, fellow educators out there, but sometimes I do feel that I feel bad about giving my students break during tuition because I feel that parents want to pack as much value as possible, right? Like you come to me 1.5 hours. Yeah, so if I give breaks during tuition, if I give break, or even if I spend time in the beginning, right, in your concept is to create the safety, to check in with the student and how are you, tell me about what is going on in school, to make them feel safe and connected, right? I do sometimes feel this pressure that am I wasting my clients, the parents' money because they pay me to teach their kids, right? So I think for private tutors, even tuition centers, maybe there is this kind of pressure. But after listening to you, I can understand now that actually doing all these things, right, we are in fact raising the effectiveness of our students, not wasting their time.
Yes. Yeah, this reminds me of a story. You know why we share the story? Real story.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. I used to teach this student. The parent paid me very well, a few $100s per hour. Okay, but the parent expect a lot, and then the parent think that the parent actually. Okay, I saw Rajiv giving a comment. Say sometimes parents sit next to the screen auditing us. These parents sit next to me, face to face, not face to face, just beside on the same table, to listen out throughout the whole lesson. When I'm teaching the child, the child, and I'm perfectly fine with that, as long as the parent don't interfere when I teach. So after the lesson, right, the parent give feedback. They say, I spent too much time at the beginning chit-chatting with her. And then after that, give a lot of feedback. Then I go and find out a bit more what does the parent work as. So the parent is not a professional educator. That's all I can say. Okay. Then after that, the parent keep giving feedback of how I should teach. Now, then in the end, I told them, okay, you are so good. I think you teach your child better. Teach your child. You yourself teach better. And then despite the pay is very good, right? I actually stopped teaching I I rejected the child already, because it's very hard for me to help any students without the support and collaboration of the parent, to have a trust in you that you know what you're doing. So if the parent keep telling me what to do, I will usually tell the parent, why not you do it yourself? You teach yourself since you are better. And now I'm not teaching the student anymore, because the parent, I think, expecting too much and really thinks that she knows everything. So I would wish her all the best and hope she can find the tutor that she likes. But she likes doesn't mean the tutor can perform and help the child. So when in that, we need to be professional, even dealing with such parents, because some parents really just think that they know better. But as professionals, you tell them, okay, why you are doing it. First, you explain to them why you need the chatting part at the beginning. Always spend the first 5 minutes in every lesson chatting and cooling them, calming them down so that they feel safe, and then they feel that they are cared about. Then the next subsequent timing would be much more productive. So if you explain that to the parent, they would probably understand. Yeah.
For this case study, that this story that you just shared, right? Did you spend how long did you spend? What three?
The first lesson, right? The first lesson I spent 15 minutes.
That's fair. Yeah. That's perfectly fair.
It's too long. She thought it's too long. She want me come in straight away, start open the book and do questions. So I think, and she's the type, she hired one tutor for every subject. The girl is in secondary school now, so she has 8 exam subjects. So she has a separate tutor for each subject. And every time the student doesn't get a distinction, she fire and change the tutor. So by now, I calculate probably she have changed about 30 over tutors within 1 year. So yeah, I would say very, very hard to please these kind of parents. Yeah.
Yeah, very hard, very hard.
Yeah.
There's no connection. You fire like that. First of all, there's no respect. The student won't have any respect for the tutors. They will see that tutors are just hired people to help with their schoolwork, and they can be fired anytime.
They treat them like workers, just general workers. They are not teachers, just workers and vendors to hire and fire as you wish. So the daughter actually saw this thing happen 30 times within a year, because she has changed more than 30 tutors within a year. And you can imagine when the child grew up, because she's the only child, what kind of values the child will be inculcated with. It's very sad, because she learned the wrong lessons in life. Yeah. But nothing much I can do, because I'm not the parent. I can only wish them all the best and hope that the parent change and can see that this is not the best for the child.
Yeah, indeed. It's really not good.
Yeah. I saw some questions from Rajiv. Rajiv is tuning in. He said, have technology to monitor the child's, create new technology to monitor student also. Yeah, they have this NeuroSense, a Singapore company. They have this sense band thing, right? A student can wear, and then live they can actually monitor the different brain waves to actually see how focused the student are in real time. Yeah, so these are certain technologies that is available already, but it's just not widely used. In Singapore, it's a bit hard because people thought it would invade privacy, but just looking at the brain waves, not very private, the brain waves, and it has to be interpreted by professionals before it has meaning. So in China, yes, in China, right? Because China got no such thing as privacy one. Anyone in China watching this? Yeah, I think they will agree with me. Whole school approach. Every student that step into the school wear the band, and then in front of the classroom, there's a camera sensor. Back of the classroom, there's a sensor. So they as the first thing, the first moment they step into the school, their brain waves are being monitored already throughout the whole day, live in real time, and then it's recorded. And then if there are spikes that is outlying or that raises a red flag, the teachers would actually go to analyze and feedback to the parent, and they get trigger notice on their smartphone. That is how advanced China is now. China.
Wow. Serious? Are you talking about
Yes.
those 一线城市, like those first tier?
Yes, correct. Coastal cities first year, coastal city first year. Yeah, the inland one have not have that kind of and they did it on a whole school approach. And I would say, right, that is really the ultimate hack, because they can arrest any student that fall asleep or cannot catch up very quickly. And students cannot run away from science. The machines will never lie. The machines always tell the truth. So, and because of the large enough sample size, the school is large, they can actually detect outliers very fast, because you cannot have outliers if your sample size is small. Okay, so they have large enough sample size, they can detect outliers. And because of that approach, if they have made this method or made this scheme very successful, they can easily replicate to other schools in the whole of China, in China, the cities. So China's education is far ahead of everyone else in terms of monitoring. But because of the lack of ability for them to express themselves freely, the creativity part is much lesser compared to Scandinavian countries, whereby they are able to challenge authority. So China, they produce workers, they produce engineers, scientists very well, because they have such a systematic approach to learning. But when it comes to creativity, they are lagging behind, because it's quite rigid, quite structured. Singapore, I hope they try a balance between these two, because we need both. Yeah.
Wow. I was imagining that if I'm a student in a China school, right, and then I'm asked to wear the headband, my amygdala will immediately kick in, you know. Like, I was like,
oh yes, it does.
Even though I go to pee in the toilet, I also got somebody monitoring my.
Yes, it does. And but the brainwave will give a suggestion that you're peeing, but will not tell you that you're peeing. Only experts, when they interpret it, they can tell you the brain was relaxed at this motion, at this moment, but they do not know. They won't tell you explicitly that you're peeing. Yeah.
Okay. But just that.
The amygdala part only first week. Second week onwards, they don't feel it anymore. First week they will. So they take the students first few days they introduce them, when they wear it, they do feel uncomfortable, but then they get conditioned it after the 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. So I think it is quite amazing because the speed at which they can troubleshoot students which is lagging behind is just amazing. Because the key thing is a school, I would say as a class, the teacher's main job is not to make sure that one student learn, is to make sure as many students learn as much as possible.
Yeah,
that is actually the job of a school teacher. A tutor, yes, one-to-one, your job is to make that student learn. But as a teacher in a class, your job is to make as many students learn as much as possible. That is the goal and objective. So with those kind of measuring equipments available, the job is much easier.
Wow. Thanks for sharing this. I find it slightly disturbing, but it's nonetheless very,
Singapore is not happening.
Interesting piece of news. Okay.
But they should probably do a test class to see in Singapore. Singapore, they recently opened this, NIE opened the SELSI, Science of Learning Education Center. Yeah, they use all the scientific instruments and the science of learning to measure learning. It just opened a few weeks ago, last month. Yeah, they are catching up. They are playing catch up, Singapore, with China. We're supposed to be ahead of China, but China is still ahead of us in terms of learning science.
Yeah, I think China is actually ahead of many countries, just that we don't know yet. Yeah.
We think we are the best because at teams, international tests, our students perform the best in maths and science. That is the metric. Singapore systems, they think that we are performing the best, but performing the best in this area comes at a cost, comes at a trade-off. What is the trade-off? Students typically are less creative, they're less questioning. We want students to question and question and question. The deeper the question, the better the deeper the cognitive processing.
Okay. Interestingly, even though we are running, we are already over a bit in our time, but very interesting that you mentioned about this PISA testing. This is probably going to be another discussion. But I just want to say that PISA actually tests problem-solving skills, right? So
yes, it does. It does.
yeah. So problem-solving skills, and it's usually tied to being creative, being able to think out of the box. But seems that it doesn't really test that. So being very high in PISA score.
Yes, correct. When you look at PISA score, right? When you look at PISA test, it's a one-off test, That means all the things that are given to you in that test, the students are not allowed to probe further questions during the test. And that is actually a handicap already.
Right.
So if you're given because situations are dynamic, okay? If given a situation, the problem solver is supposed to have the ability to probe further. Then they can have a sharper, more accurate way of solving a problem. A lot of tests is not very accurate because the whole purpose of tests is to find out the average. What is the performance of the average? Okay, but for the individual, if they want to probe further, they cannot because the test everything is in black and white already. So there's no way for them to probe further, make further clarifications of the problem. Now, when that aspect is missing, it is not life anymore. It is not reality anymore because reality gives us the ability to probe further. So teams is actually quite not realistic, unrealistic. All these paper tests very unrealistic because you cannot probe further. You have to answer based on what is on the paper already. But real life is not like that. Real life you can probe further.
So it's between being street smart and exam smart. Exam is just whatever information given to you, you just read and then you decipher what is there, right? Okay. Daniel, I really want to thank you for sharing so much with us. I think today is very pretty heavy session. I learned a lot of scientific
I saw one comment from Jeffrey. Install CCTV at student's house. Yes, I do that. I make sure there is CCTV to protect. This one is important. If the student come to the house of the tutors, make sure there's CCTV to protect both the student and the tutor. That is an excellent question. It's a must-have in today's. It's a must-have. And if you go to the student house, make sure they have CCTV installed at their place. Yeah, it's important to protect the tutors and students.
Okay, I see. Just to make sure that in case of any disputes, everything is captured.
There is evidence. There's evidence because you say yours, I say mine, no witness. It's very hard to get out of that kind of misunderstanding. And then sometimes it can affect a lot of things. It can even break the whole rice bowl just because of a misunderstanding. So having CCTV is really important. The fact that the evidence exists, people would be less likely to the chances of misunderstanding is much lesser. And tutors themselves should be comfortable with being recorded. Because as professionals, they would know whether they're recorded or not, they still must be professional. So there's no harm if they record the whole process, but broadcast is a different thing. They can record, you can say parent can record but cannot broadcast because it's a private lesson with the student. So record is meant of safety. It's meant for safety.
Right.
In fact, I even proposed to MOE when I was inside MOE to make sure that they have a camera in every classroom. But somehow they haven't done that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but in other countries, they have done it already. Every single classroom got camera. There's no way misunderstanding can take place whereby the students say their version, the teacher say their version, and then end up 2 weeks of investigation, a lot of work don't get done.
Okay. Now, Daniel, I want to go to this section, right? I want to invite you, okay, after you shared so much good stuff with us, tell us about how the brain works and a lot of also tips about tutors, how we can safeguard ourselves, how we can raise our impact and profitability, right? Can you do you have anything that's upcoming, that in your pipeline, anything that any exciting program that you're brewing that you want to share with us?
Yes, I am working with Coven Learning Center in a tight collaboration to come up with this. It's in a pipeline. This program called the Neuroactive Mind Mapping Program. Essentially is to teach tutors how to activate everything in the most sequential manner so that the tutors is able to use this system to ensure that the learning is very effective, very productive. So the first batch, we are opening the first batch most likely in May or June. And then the first batch is only capped at 8 students max, because we want to ensure every student turn out to become our ambassador, people who will really can use it to benefit their students. Because it has been tested and proven, the neuroactive filtering system has been used for more than 20 years by Coven Learning Center. And they have produced stellar results, even miracles, using this system. And my mind mapping has, I've been using it for more than 20 years. So we are combining forces, okay, using neuroactive filtering plus mind mapping at the end. Mind mapping is mainly to deal with the cognitive part, cognitive processing part. Neuroactive filtering is to deal with the blue, green, and red part. So we are combining this to make sure that it's a whole comprehensive system that we can teach tutors to use this to their advantage in teaching and tutoring. And when they are able to use this system to help their students, you would almost be certain that the student will improve. It's because it's science, okay? And when the student grades improve, you will see that the parents will keep coming to them and then keep referring more students to them until they will have to sometimes turn away students because too many students already, not enough time slots for them. So that is one way to become profitable, to have a good system in place, scientifically proven system in place that can consistently and reliably produce improvement in the students. And then from that, you can say your reputation will take care of itself. They will just keep coming to you. And when the demand for the tutor service is higher than your time slot, the rates that they can charge goes higher and higher, become more profitable. So it's really, this program is really to help those tutors to be more profitable, more impactful, and become more successful in their tutoring business. Yeah, so we are both businessmen ourselves, the Coven Learning Center and myself. I'll be leading the program. I'm the program lead for this. I'll be coaching it personally in live. Like this will be a live workshop, 1 day workshop that if those are interested, we have not opened up for sign up yet, but we will, if they are interested, they can actually drop me an email. We can book a slot. We can reserve a slot for them. We are reserving the first batch only 8 people, and once we reserve the slot for them, once the workshop is the dates time ready, we'll tell the people who are reserved the slots. Yeah. So just drop me an email at admin@bestminds.sg if you are interested to attend this workshop. It's a 1 day workshop, and we will let you know more details from there.
Okay, great. So this is a real need for tutors to upgrade ourselves. So I would say that whoever has an open mind, right? Whoever is thirsty to learn more, to raise our own standards, will stand to benefit in this I think increasingly competitive tutoring industry. All right.
Yes, it's hyper competitive.
Very, very big ocean.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So if you to our audience out there, if you want to ask any more questions to Daniel, feel free to drop a message here in this comment section, or you can also find Daniel in in the PIE Facebook group. Okay, Daniel, I believe you're already in there. Yeah. So so Daniel will be
first I want to thank you also, Jason, for creating this community. I want to thank you for creating this community because there's really a need. There's really a need for tutors to come together to support each other. And I want to thank you because I think ultimately those that benefit are students, the end clients. When teachers and tutors come together as a community, we share and we support each other, we can go much longer together. You know the saying goes, African proverb, if you want to go fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go together. That's why the tutor community should come together, because we should look at the long game, going far. Yes. Learning is lifelong. It's a far game. So thank you. Absolutely. Thank you for forming this community with Jeffrey.
Yeah, Jeffrey. Yeah, we really should thank Jeffrey too. Jeffrey is very vital part of this community and this entire academy. Yeah. So now you're right. I think you just touched on something that's really, really true. I think that Singaporean tutors, we should really teach the mentality that we are competing against one another. Yes, maybe in some sense, but together we can do more. And I think let's look at the world. Let's look at beyond Singapore. Right? If we can up our game, if we can help one another to really be better, then we don't necessarily have to stay in Singapore. And also, I just want to bring this up. Singapore birth rate is actually dropping. You want to fight, how much you want to fight? You are just fighting your shrinking pie. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, great. So to our audience out there, if you see yourself as someone who wants to improve your trade, who wants to up your game, okay, do check out Daniel's upcoming program, okay, in collaboration with Coven Learning Center. Okay, so personally, I'm very excited to check it out. If I can, I will sign up. All right. So
awesome.
Okay, now I want to thank all our audience, and I want to thank Daniel for dropping in today to share your precious time, precious knowledge, precious experience with us. So I hope that many educators can benefit from this. And do share with us if you are watching there, and if you have any questions, testimonials, or any takeaway, share in the comment section, please. And next week, PIE will be back on the 23rd of April with more great tips from Dr. Vivian Passion Cole, an expert in helping tutors to discover their life purposes to increase their profitability and impact. All right, so remember to like us and follow us on Facebook and join our Facebook group if you have not. And we'll see you next week. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone. See you.